16. So this season starting will be the same hosts and locations, but there's a chance that some new locations will be picked up, and yeah, that would be fantastic.
Perfect timing for a new Olympic round.
Yes.
So the qualifiers will be over. Hopefully we'll add a couple more stops in the series and build to 2020.
No, it's exciting times for rugby, and in Asia, especially with the World Cup coming here in 2019 for Japan. And well, there's talk of this Sanzar expansion team as well, Super 18. So again, that seems to be a battle between Japan and Singapore, with maybe I've heard some murmurings that Auckland have another chance to put in a Pacific Islands team as well. They'd like to put in another team, but how that works out in the South African division, that might be another thing. But
yeah,
how would you like to see a US franchise in the future?
I think you could. You could probably put one in Los Angeles or San Francisco to break it up, and then you could take one team on the East Coast to play in the Premiership.
Yes, true.
So I think that's really what's needed in the United States.
Yes.
A pro franchise to help grow the sport there.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think I'll see a sevens one before I see a 15s.
Yeah.
But either way, something that a professional league that you can attract fans to, I think will be critical for the expansion in the United States.
So we just see the host team marching on the field for their first clash today. Malaysia will take on the UAE, a perennial team who are growing in this competition. UAE, they started playing with only local players last year, the Shaheen, and well, they've acquitted themselves reasonably well, but it's a long road ahead for them, that's for sure. And the Malaysians, well, they did very well in last year's tournament. They were the plate champions here, beating Thailand in the final. And from what I remember, I think they upset Korea in that tournament in the pool game. So they're always up for their home clashes. So it's UAE in their white strip to kick off. It's Adil and Malaysia. And we'll start off with Rambebi down the left wing. Strong run from him. Cyrus is screaming after him, but Rambebi has some pace. Well, here's a good defender. It's Alabushi who gave it a good attempt there with some pace, but Rambebi went all the way, and look at that beaming smile. Well, we've seen a lot of Pacific Islands players, well, not a lot, but sprinkling, shall we say, joining the fun here in the Asian Sevens Series. Malaysia have 2 or 3, and interesting this weekend to see Sri Lanka coming up with I think he's a Fijian, coming in to play as well. They did talk about it during the 15 season. They had 2 or 3 Fijians with perhaps some Sri Lankan ancestry.
That's interesting.
Yes, so Amori Wangavulangi will come in, number 9 here, and the coach Setafano, who's still playing and coaching as well. So yeah, and it's something.
I used to always say that Fiji, sevens being their national sport, that at one point you had almost a Fijian on every team around the world.
Yep. Well, they certainly have the natural skills and affinity with the game, that's for sure. And to be fair, Sri Lanka, it's one thing they've missed is just some physicality and some height in their pack as well. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings to the squad as well. Yosita Rajapaksa, who's a 15s captain, a flanker, has come into the squad for Sri Lanka this weekend as well. He's Rambebe.
I'd be curious, Mike, to see with the Asian Games coming up, since you have to be a passport holder, if we'll see a lot of changes in the rosters of the teams across that have qualified.
Yeah, well, that's something I think a lot of teams are working towards, because Hong Kong have made a couple of adjustments this weekend, leaving out Nick Hewson, who does not have an SAR passport, and bringing in Kwok Kachun, the dog, who's come in as their sort of power forward. And obviously they've blooded a lot of youngsters, 19, 20-year-olds, Coverdale and Capon, who have passports. So,
that's excellent.
They've used this series as a build-up to give them some experience as well, to make sure they're covered for this forthcoming Asian Games, which is going to be an exciting event. You'll be along there in Incheon.
Absolutely. It's one of the few countries I haven't been to yet, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, great. Yeah. We'll get used to eating with silver chopsticks. They don't have the wooden ones there. It's quite amazing. First time you ever feed there. I'd start exercising the fingers if I was you, because they're quite heavy. Heavier than the bamboo ones.
I'll take the challenge.
You'll have to, or you'll starve. Or bring your own knife and fork, I guess. So UAE with a good attack there, and they'll get a penalty here as well. Good to see them throwing the ball around with some confidence, although it's not looking good on the ground there.
Might be a slight little shoulder injury there. Time has stopped.
No, and it was interesting to see the Koreans in operation in Hong Kong as well. They're well and truly up for hosting this Sevens. A good performance, beating Japan in the semi-final. Just not enough gas in the tank, perhaps, for the final against Hong Kong, letting themselves down a bit there. But boy, the game against Japan, as always, when Japan and Korea get together, Korea are well up for that game.
I think it's actually very good for the series as well to see somebody different in that final. I think it's a wake-up call maybe to the big boys. But in sevens in general, that's why I love the sport so much, because really on any given day anybody could win. So if you're up for it, you make mistakes, you're not mentally switched on. You could definitely be on the short end of that stick.
Yes, and it's really been the fashion and the fad in sports lately, global sports. Well, that's sad for Muhammad Alawi. He's a fireman by trade, so he's not going to be climbing up any ladders for a few weeks. Doesn't look good, maybe splitting the shoulder there. Here's Adele. It's all going backwards, and interesting coach Kutsi from the UAE was saying the challenges he has with the squad are using the space and the depth. And when they have the ball and attack, Cyrus, who's one of the players with a real background in the sport, throwing a beautiful pass out wide. But I'm sure that's something you have to cope with as well if you're coaching domestic players new to the game too.
Absolutely. It's funny because when I first started coaching in the U.S., I tried to find athletes to teach them to play the game. So the skill level, traditional fundamentals wasn't there. In the Philippines, actually the skill set was much better than when I first started coaching the U.S., but we didn't have the athletes and the pace that America did. So it's interesting for me, the adjustments I had to make, because it's so important that when you grow up playing the game, that it comes natural to you. Those things you can't really teach. You reinforce those fundamentals, but that's a critical part of the game.
Yeah, I think that's as we mentioned earlier with China. They've got so many athletes from other sports who have been playing top level sports, but it's just getting that instant reaction just on cue, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, and it comes with experience. I think what this is wonderful, really, the Asian Sevens Series. It just continues to help, I think, in the growth of the game, and you'll see that in certain tournaments we get different countries coming to them as well. So I think it's huge.
This is a really good performance from UAE so far this half. Here's Mohammed Abbas, the mop-haired winger. This is really staunch stuff from UAE. They've put a lot of character together in this first 6 minutes, keeping Malaysia just down to one try and holding onto the ball for long periods of time as well. So glimpses of potential, that's for sure, from the UAE. You see there Mohammed Abbas. Looks like a real tough character, doesn't he? It's good to see.
Yeah, with the exception of that first try by Malaysia, it's been a very balanced game. Yeah. I agree with you. The majority of the play has been spent in the Malaysian half.
So it'd be great to see UAE string a couple more attacks. Oh, turn that ball over. Adele goes back, gives it to Cyrus. He's just marshalling his troops. Adele again with a great position. This is good positioning. The forwards getting back, and just great to see them how far they've moved on. Good decision there to drop to ground, although no scrum half in play. But the ball's still in. So Adele takes it now and goes away. This is their chance to go and even at half-time. Adele with a beautiful run. Where's the support? Pops it up to Cyrus. Outside, and Abbas is there screaming for the ball. He gets it. One man to beat. Cuts inside. Looks for the support. 5 metres out. Slowed down, though, to a standstill there. Still, Alabushi gets it out. Cyrus surveys his options, gives it to Mohammed Shaker, brother of the manager. the first family of UAE rugby, if you like. Cyrus again. Oh, lovely swivel from Cyrus. Beautiful work in the UAE. Well, this is fantastic work from them. And you can just see the two generals there, Adele and Cyrus, hugging each other. They realise that what part they played in putting that try together. What a great attacking part
that was 4 phases, Mike, and great on UAE there to capitalize on that. Malaysia didn't really have an answer for that, but that's wonderful. Now we're tied at half.
It's brilliant. So 7-all at half time. Well, not decrying Malaysia's effort. They're the hosts and obviously a very good team, but again, maybe just not keeping their eye on the ball. They've got a big game later on against Korea, so they've got a lot of work to do here in the second half against this feisty UAE squad. So this is good to see, and I know Coach Kotze, look at him, he's patting everyone on the back. As a coach, you love these times, don't you?
Absolutely. When your players exceed your expectations, or even more, when they execute properly the game plan that you have and their skills, it's a great feeling. And the players have confidence and build off of that as well.
Yeah, just from that line out, just seeing the forwards make their way back and getting into a position where they could take the ball on is just something that we didn't see from them last year. And we saw glimpses in Hong Kong, but still it's great to see that they've really come here to play, that's for sure.
You made a very good point. That started completely from the line out.
Yeah.
It was a great steal. They lifted him up defensively, and he tapped it back, and then they had very good patience just moving the ball, handling the ball, taking care of it. Did an excellent job.
So if you were Yosli Ramli here in the huddle, what would you be saying to your boys?
I would tell them right now to hold on to possession. They gave away what little they had. They actually turned it over too long, and then I think they're a little bit spread too much on defense. They're getting carved up in the middle as a result of that try, where they need to make their upfront tackles.
Yep.
To make it real simple, I usually like to give one correction on attack and a reinforcement, and then one on defense and a reinforcement. 2 minutes, we don't have a lot to say.
Yep.
Plus, as a player, you don't want to hear a lot.
Yeah, out of the 12 players, I was going to ask you, out of the 12 players, who's listening to those reinforcements?
Yeah. If it's short, it will. They might retain a little piece of it. But if you get too long-winded in there, they haven't heard a thing you said.
It's bullet stuff, isn't it? It's just. So 7-all at half time. This is the 4th game of the tournament so far. We'll be streaming all day live on YouTube. Thanks for joining us if you're watching. And this is a great effort from the UAE squad. They've managed to stay even here in the first half against Malaysia.
The weather's holding up beautifully as well. We get a nice breeze, so the players are really appreciating that.
Yeah, this is Nazreen who'll restart. Yeah, we didn't have the best in the weather stakes last year. A couple of torrential downpours on either day. Mohammed Shaker takes it bravely, and just squeezed ball there, not coming back quickly enough. So Tonia. Oh, it goes backwards, lucky for them. Here's Murray Lynn, this 18-year-old. Nice inside ball. Was that forward? No, says the referee. So this one goes in for the try that gives them a lead. Nice work there from Murray Lynn, this 18-year-old, just taking out a couple of defenders.
And I think he was the one on the kickoff as well that had a great kickoff that caused the turnover as well. Came down with a lot of aggression and purpose to make sure that he won that ball. And that's really what you want to do, either down or tied. You want to be the first team that scores, opening up that second half.
Yeah.
Put the pressure on the opposition.
So it's only 5 points to the Gulf, 12 points to 7. See there in the background, Chinese team warming up for the next game.
I think that was Japan.
Oh yeah, oh yes, it's Japan arriving at the ground, you're right. Yep, and there's, is it Hong Kong? There's Gareth Baber in the background of that shot. Yeah. So 12 points to 7. So yeah, the first seeds get a rest first up today. It's the second and third seeds who take each other on. So then they come in now and play their games back to back.
As it should be.
Yeah. Well, it's tough on the second seeded teams, as we see this one again with a lovely run down the left flank. One to beat. He's got Zulkifli in support, but he's decided to be a bit of a glutton himself and get himself a double. Good work from his one. And as we said earlier, some of these teams, the third seeds, are getting up for the first half. Thailand were able to scramble and carry on, take this game out, but UAE, they've obviously used up a lot of energy to keep with this Malaysian team.
And we see a lot of hands on knees by UAE right now and hands on heads. So trying to gasp for air right now. There's still a lot of time left in this second period.
So out to 17-7. It's not a bad shot from Nazreen, but it's just gone right.
That is Japan in the background.
Yeah, so they're on a real mission this weekend, as we said earlier, huh? So with the third place position in Hong Kong, not used to that.
I think they want to set the tone coming up to the Asian Games.
As somebody who's been involved with the US and the Philippines, are you envious of some of the support that teams like Japan and Hong Kong get from the Olympic and rugby unions?
It's not envious. What we try to do is the Philippines actually is getting very good support from the Philippine Sports Commission, PSC, in the United States, a lot more than we ever had. So it may not come in financial remuneration, but other resources, creating a high-performance environment, strength and conditioning coaches, nutritionists, training environment that the United States has with at the Olympic Training Center in Chula Vista. So if you look at it, I think it's just great, again, for the sport, because it is an Olympic event now, and so we're going to see more and more participation from smaller countries that it's important for them.
Rambibi through for his second try. That's the fourth try of the day for Malaysia. Well, it was 7-all at half time, but the floodgates have opened in the second half. Malaysia getting a kick in the pants probably at half time from Coach Yosley, and doing the right thing, really up for it. Here's Keithley with his first shot of the day. A goal. He's been a bit subdued too, Zulkifli. We usually see his pace and spirited runs, but just hasn't had the luck of the draw so far as getting the ball. But he'll get loads of opportunity later on, I'm sure.
He might be pacing himself, getting ready for his South Korea game.
Yep. Well, it's interesting too with South Korea. They've brought in 3 of their veterans, 30-year-olds, Yun and Kim Sang-soo for the weekend as well. Obviously, they want to rally and get a chance to put their bids in for Asian Games inclusion. Nice kickoff, but well taken again from the UAE. Here's Adel, who's really developing into a lovely distributor. Muhammad Abbas, who we saw last year at a leg or two. A little knock on there as he placed the ball. Probably the last set piece of the game. So who's your favourite for this weekend then? I know we haven't seen the top teams in action, but on paper, is it Hong Kong's to lose, or?
I think it is right now. I think they've built, with Garrett coming in as the new coach, they've really put together a strategic plan. They've followed that since Gareth has come on board. They're in a full-time environment. Their goal is a goal at the Asian Games, and of course they have the series event. I think they missed out last year not qualifying to be a full-time team on the circuit, so that's another goal of theirs, to make sure they replace somebody. So as you said, Mike, on paper, I'd give it to Hong Kong today.
Yeah, well, let's see how that develops over the weekend. That's a thing, an injury or two, or somebody else stepping up as far as teams go, and individuals can all put the cat amongst the pigeons. As Rambibi running freely again, gets it out to Atunaisa, looking for the inside ball. Rambibi couldn't get it, but it's a penalty. Tapped, I don't know if it was tapped forward by UAE. It's an unusual one, but penalty to Malaysia.
Yeah, I think the referee wanted it right at the mark.
Yeah, this Rambibi with a hat-trick already. 3 tries against this UAE team, and that'll wrap up the game, I'm sure. Well, UAE were brave and again showed their potential if they can carry on here.
I think one of the hardest things to do for teams that aren't in a full-time environment is how they can really get that level of fitness up. And I think was one of the issues that UAE had in this game. They actually did, as we saw, a very good first half.
Yeah.
I think ran out of steam in that second half.
So carefully, gets it nice and high. Is it handsome? Oh, just wide. So that's the end of the game. Well played Malaysia in the second half, showed their true colours. And a final score of 29 points to 7, I believe. So Al, thanks very much for your efforts in the commentary box.
Mike, it was my pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the day and tomorrow, and I hope tell your friends and get more viewers, because this is actually wonderful. I've been watching and following the series from the United States, so on YouTube. So it's great that we're able to do this.
Fantastic. Al Caravelli, the coaching advisor and coach of the Philippine squad. And the final score there, 29 points to 7. We're going to take a break, and we're going to be back at 2 o'clock for the next round of games featuring the Big Four: Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, Japan and South Korea. So please, go and have your lunch, get the housework done, go and do your messages, and come back and see us at 2 p.m. Hong Kong.